Before I left Australia to travel o'er the sea, I went into our lounge room and sat on my old father's knee. He was full of worldly wisdom, or so I ascertained, and what he said to me that day has lingered in me brain. He'd spent years in the outback in that land of thirst and drought, and he said to me, son, don't ever look a gift horse in the mouth. If a joker offers you a drink, don't pause to count the cost. And the same applies to Sheila's. He who hesitates is lost. Well, now I'm in the old country and living in Earl Court. When a bloke says, have a beer, I say, I'll be in that one sport. And the same applies to Sheila's, if they're pretty or they're not. When a girl gives me the old green light, I'm in there like a shot. Oh, I wouldn't say no to an ice cold beer, and I wouldn't say no to an naughty. I've lived in England half a year in a bedsitter in Earl Courty. The beer over here isn't fit to drink, and the Sheilas are cold and haughty. So I wouldn't say no to an ice cold beer, and I wouldn't say no to an naughty. Old England's really on its back. That's to my way of thinking. The female talent's to the pack, and the beer's not worth drinking. The average Brit talks a load of bull, and they live in terrace houses, and they talk about the winter change with no seat to their trousers. Oh, I wouldn't say no to an ice cold beer, and I wouldn't say no to an naughty. Lived in England half a year in a bedsitter in Earl Courty. The beer over here isn't fit to drink, and the Sheilas are cold and haughty. So I wouldn't say no to an ice cold beer, and I wouldn't say no to an naughty. Last Saturday, me mates and me decided to get tight. I tried to feel up upon me Sheila later on that night. When I pinched her behind, she said, do you mind? And gave her head a toss. So I told this pom where I come from, the girls all come across. Oh, I wouldn't say no to an ice cold beer, and I wouldn't say no to a naughty. I've lived in England half a year in a bedsitter in Earl Courty. The beer over here isn't fit to drink, and the Sheilas are cold and haughty. So I wouldn't say no to an ice cold beer, and I wouldn't say no to an naughty. One day I strode up the Earl's Court Road, and into a pub I was lured. Where do you come from? Says a nosy pom, as I downed the amber fluid. So I told him straight, I'm Australian, mate, and I feel like getting plastered. But the beer's crook, and the girls all look like you pommy bastard. Oh, I wouldn't say no to an ice cold beer, I wouldn't say no to a naughty. I've lived in England half a year in a bedsitter in Earl Courty. The beer over here isn't fit to drink, and the Sheilas are cold and haughty. So I wouldn't say no to an ice cold beer, and I wouldn't say no to a naughty. I met a tar the other day, and she said, pleased to meet you. So I smiled and said with a jerk of my head, well, how's about a feature? So we drank ice cold, and I got more bold, till she took a pack of fags out and said, let's drink beer. I'm sorry, dear, but tonight I got the flags out. Oh, I wouldn't say no to an ice cold beer, and I wouldn't say no to a naughty. I've lived in England half a year in a bedsitter in Earl Courty. The beer over here isn't fit to drink, and the Sheilas are cold and haughty. So I wouldn't say no to an ice cold beer, and I wouldn't say no to a naughty.